Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Today I actually ended up doing a double feature. I went and saw The Smashing Machine earlier this morning, which there's a review already out for that, and I went to check out this as well. So had me a little bit of a movie fest today, and I have my thoughts on this film. That film that we're going to be discussing today is Anemone, which was co-written and directed by Ronan Day Lewis, who is making his directorial debut with this. Yes, he is his featured directorial debut. Co-written and starring Daniel Day-Lewis, who is making his return to acting after nearly 8 years since his retirement. His last film, of course, was Phantom Thread, which was directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, which we have discussed on this channel, which I really, really liked that film quite a bit, and his performance, especially in that film, I thought was terrific. This is also co-starring Sean Bean and Samantha Morton, and the story goes as we follow a man named Ray Stoker, who is played by Daniel Day-Lewis, and his a friend of his, or I believe brother, I forget, I don't know how they represent it, but I believe it's a friend of his named Jem, who is played by Sean Bean, and is to the wife, or to the husband, to Samantha Morton's character. He adventures out to into the wilderness to reconnect with Ray, again played by Daniel Day-Lewis, as they revisit old memories regarding their time in the military, and uncovering and basically discussing the reasonings behind Daniel Day-Lewis's character's isolation, because he's made himself very much isolated within this forest. He's in a cabin in the woods, and he has removed himself from all contact, mostly from the outside world. And the film explores that reasoning behind that through some abstract qualities, through some mostly very nonverbal demeanors, and discussing the struggle that is buried within that character and potentially within others as well. And to the root of it, that is what the film is exploring, that about the universal struggle within people, that battle of that self-conflict that people possess when they're in the face of pain and suffering, or if they're suffering through Great Depression, or in the case of Daniel Day-Lewis's character, that of grief and trauma and regret, mainly from past events that were within his time in the military, and through covert missions, and doing things that were that resulted in great violence, and amongst other things that have happened within his life as well, that the film explores through large pieces of dialogue and monologuing, and expressed through Daniel Day-Lewis, which I must say, first and foremost, I think, after 8 years, of retirement, you would expect maybe something of a different pace from an actor who takes such time off. Maybe trying to rediscover their footing, or, maybe they're not to the level they used to be. I'm very, very happy to inform that Daniel Day-Lewis, even after all this time, is still as committed as ever, and I believe that he has such an enriched performance here, and very, very importantly so, in that phrase, enriched, as we discuss the rest of the film shortly. But I believe his performance in this is very, very strong, and he very much exerts that quality of great pain that he is dealing with, packaged within this very this distant, but also anger, that is also at the surface. He expresses through anger, but underneath that you could see great pain at the same time. And especially through a lot of the monologuing that he does throughout the film, you get a really, really interesting look at his character, and most, if not all of that, is very much done through the presence of Daniel Day-Lewis. You are never ever bored when he is on screen, and thankfully he is on screen for quite a lot of the time. And what his son is doing behind the camera is rather interesting, striking in terms of visual presentation. I mean, it is very stunning to look at times. Some framing is just gorgeous, and just the choice of the landscape. Being in an isolated nature. Within the forest. Some points we're at a beach. It's very, very very pleasant to look at, and there is the potential within intrigue with it, just how it is overall crafted. This tone, the way that it is just sitting within this, this very sorrow, type of state. It is, reflective in terms of just what the film is ultimately portraying and discussing. But in that discussion, what the film is talking about, I believe in the demeanor that it possesses, as I said, this non-verbal approach for a large portion of its time, even though there are loads of time when there is monologuing and a need to explain, what is happening and what is occurring, and to give us an understanding of its structure, or an understanding of why it is choosing to pace itself the way it is, or ultimately why we need to hear information at points that we have to. What I'm getting at is that there was less to be discovered. And I believe it has a lot to do with just how it is written, because in terms of how it is visualizing itself, it is packaging interesting ideas, but in terms of what those visualizations amount to and how it plays to the story that we have here, it doesn't have more than the surface of that. Even though it is beautiful in terms of aesthetic, it is rather surface, and it meanders and it stews. It's just kind of marinates within that that surface level understanding, and it hums the same tunes kind of throughout. And for a film that is over 2 hours long, you do question that runtime. Like about an hour into it, I kind of doubted, the point in its pacing, even though it does create some sort of feeling, it does create some sort of intrigue, but it's with the hope that there will be something more, and at the end of it, there just really isn't. So it amounts to very little within its non-verbal approach, and it is a bit disappointing in how it is crafted in the deliverance of its story, because it just doesn't really amount to a whole lot outside of what is already established, very, very much so. And the visualizations just feel much more of an extension of what we already have established, and not deepening the understanding, peeling the layers, finding more rudimentary, discussions within that idea of universal struggles, or that idea of universal suffering. It just sits within the surface of that, and at least his father is here to supply a great performance, and himself, his son, to provide such stunning visualizations. At least there are things there to keep you intrigued. But it's to say that it's just long-winded, and it is very much left to the surface. And I just wish that it wasn't that. So, as I said up top, unless you would expect maybe more to be found, but unless here, there just was less to be discovered. And that is a bit disappointing. So I hope that he does do another film, because I do think, like, kind of similar into the vein of, like, because Ronan Day Lewis, as far as I know, he is also I believe he's a painter. I believe that's his background, is that of painting. Just if I look here real quick. Yeah, he's an artist. He's had an exhibition in Hong Kong. So, you understand that very much so when you watch the film. And it kind of reminded me of that of, I forgot the director's name, but the one who did At Eternity's Gate, where both have a background in painting, and they exert that quality through their filmmaking. I hope that he does return, and I hope that we do see another film of his, because I think that with a tighter sense of time, and having more of the elements play in a more meaningful way, I think that he would have an interesting film here. But as it stands, it's just sadly more surface than anything else. And it's rather disappointing given what else is involved in this production, specifically that of Daniel Day-Lewis. So yeah, so there's my thoughts on Anemone. I think it's okay. It's powered very much so by his father, by his performance, and by the visualizations that his son is providing. But it just doesn't amount to much, and that is a bit disappointing when it's all said and done. But those are my thoughts on Anemone. I hope I'm saying it right. Let me know your thoughts on Anemone if you guys had a chance to see it. I know a lot of you didn't because there didn't. I don't know if it has a limited release right now or if it has a wider release planned out soon. It's expanded out, or will be expanding out actually on the 10th. So hopefully you guys will be able to check it out then. And in the UK, it'll be coming out on the 7th. So hopefully then you guys will be given a chance to see it. Let me know your thoughts if you guys check it out. Your guys' thoughts on Daniel Day-Lewis returning to acting. I welcome it. I mean, I think The Phantom Thread again was a beautiful end to his career, but a film like this, while not great, himself in it, very much so great. But let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.